Ever look up at the night sky and wonder if we're really all alone out here?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
I mean, the universe is massive, so...
Huge.
Like, what are the chances we're the only ones here?
Right, exactly.
Well, tonight we're taking a deep dive into one of the most famous alien encounters in history, the Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter.
A classic, also known as...
The Hopkinsville Goblins Case. It really is one of those stories that makes you think about how we try to make sense of the unknown.
Right.
And how our perceptions of those events can shift over time.
I like it already.
So we're going all the way back to August 21st, 1955.
Okay.
To a farmhouse in rural Kentucky.
Ooh, spooky.
Imagine a time before smartphones and the internet.
So no connection to the outside world, basically.
Pretty much so. You've got this isolated farmhouse.
Okay, so that's where things start to get strange. You bet. The Sutton family had some visitors over the Taylors, and they were all just hanging out on a hot summer night when things took a very bizarre turn.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
It all started when Billy Ray Taylor, one of the visitors, went out to fetch water from the well.
Okay.
That's when he spotted something incredible in the sky.
Was it a flying saucer?
Not quite, but close. He described seeing this silvery object real bright with an exhaust all the colors of the rainbow.
Ooh, that's trippy.
It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, doesn't it?
Totally.
Initially, everyone just laughed it off, but then the dogs started barking like crazy.
Wow.
That's when things got real.
Okay, so now I'm starting to get a little creeped out. What happened next?
Well, Billy Ray and Lucky Sutton, one of the Suttons, decided to investigate the commotion.
Makes sense.
They headed outside, and that's when they claimed to have come face-to-face with a small humanoid creature.
Whoa, hold on. Are we talking about a full-blown alien here?
That's what they said. Picture this, about 3.5 feet tall, with an oversized round head, long arms that nearly reached the ground, hands with talons.
Okay, now this is starting to sound more like a goblin than a little green man.
You're not wrong. They also said it had glowing yellow eyes and a body that shimmered like it was made of cipher metal.
So what do? Do they try to communicate with it? Offer it a cup of space tea?
Remember, we're in rural Kentucky in the 1950s. Their response was a little more direct.
Oh, boy.
They grabbed their guns and started shooting.
Wait, seriously? They opened fire on this thing?
Yep, that's what they claimed. But here's the even crazier part. They said the bullets had no effect.
What?
Yeah, they said the creature just flipped over, scrambled back up, and vanished into the darkness.
So not only is it an alien goblin, but it's also bulletproof. That's terrifying. I'd be hiding under the bed at this point.
You and me both. But it gets even weirder. Over the next few hours, these creatures they claimed to have seen multiple kept popping up at the windows and doors, peering and even rattling doorknobs.
Are you kidding me? They were basically under siege by these things. This sounds like a scene ripped straight out of a horror movie.
It's the stuff of nightmares, right? One of the witnesses even said one of the creatures reached down from the roof and touched her hair. Imagine the terror they must have felt trapped in that farmhouse with these things outside.
Okay, I need to know what happened next. Did they call the Ghostbusters? Or maybe the Men in Black? What did they do?
Well, after hours of this terrifying ordeal, they decided to do the only thing they could think of. They piled into their truck and hightailed it to the police station.
Can you imagine showing up at the police station in the middle of the night, breathless and terrified with a story like that?
I can't even imagine. The police reports paint a pretty vivid picture of their sheer terror. One of the men even had a racing pulse when they arrived.
Wow.
They were clearly shaken to their core. The police, though skeptical, did find evidence of gunfire at the farmhouse, but
no sign of any alien goblins.
Yeah.
No glowing footprints or stray spaceships.
Nope. Nothing like that. Just empty bullet casings and a whole lot of unanswered questions.
So a real mystery then, huh?
A total mystery. This lack of evidence, of course, fueled skepticism. Some folks thought the family was making the whole thing up, maybe for attention or even to try and profit from the story.
Really?
Yeah, you see, they actually attempted to charge people admission to see the farmhouse afterwards.
Wow, that's entrepreneurial, I guess. But come on, 11 people claimed to see these things. Someone must have believed them.
You're right, not everyone dismissed their story, especially those who already believed in UFOs and alien encounters.
Okay, yeah, I bet they found this account pretty compelling.
They did. After all, with so many witnesses, how could you completely write it off?
Yeah, that's a lot of people saying they saw the same thing.
Exactly. So we've got terrified witnesses, a bizarre encounter, and absolutely no hard evidence.
This is already so intriguing. How do we make sense of all this? What are some of the explanations people have come up with over the years?
Well, there are a few theories floating around, and we're going to dive into those.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so let's dive into some of those explanations for what might have gone down at the farmhouse that night. One of the most popular theories, and this might surprise you, is that the witnesses actually mistook owls for those goblin-like creatures.
Wait, owls? Really? I
Right.
mean, I know owls can be kind of freaky, but alien goblins.
I know it sounds a little far-fetched at first, but hear me out. We're talking about great horned owls specifically.
Okay.
They're nocturnal. They've got those piercing yellow eyes that could easily look like they're glowing in the dark, and they can get pretty aggressive, especially when they're protecting their nests.
That's true.
Plus, they're about the right size, and their silhouettes could be pretty easily misinterpreted, especially in low light, if you're already kind of spooked.
Okay, I can kind of see how like a shadowy owl could be mistaken for something more otherworldly if you're already on edge.
Yeah.
But what about that whole metallic sheen they described? And the bulletproof thing, owls don't deflect bullets, do they?
Right, those are the details that make this theory a little harder to swallow. But some people have suggested that moonlight reflecting off the owl's feathers could have created that illusion of a metallic shimmer.
Interesting.
And as for the bullets, well, maybe they just missed. It was dark, they were panicked. Who knows how accurate their aim was under those circumstances?
True adrenaline and fear can really mess with your perception.
Yeah.
So we've got the owl theory, but I'm guessing there are other explanations out there too.
Absolutely. Some people think that Billy Ray's initial UFO sighting could have been a meteor.
A meteor.
Yeah, there were reports of meteor showers in the area around that time, and those can be pretty spectacular to see.
Oh yeah, I saw a meteor shower while camping once. It definitely had that, whoa, what was that factor?
Right? It's easy to see how someone could mistake it for something extraterrestrial.
Totally. And this was way before we all had smartphones to quickly Google stuff too.
Exactly. And remember, this was also a time when UFO sightings were all over the news.
Oh yeah, true.
So people were primed to see things in the sky.
Makes sense. So we've got owls and meteors, but neither of those really explain those creatures.
Right.
Did anyone just say flat out they were making it up?
Well, there's always that possibility, of course. Some skeptics have suggested that the whole thing was a hoax.
A hoax?
Maybe fueled by boredom, overactive imaginations, and the desire for a little attention.
Okay, but wouldn't the police have been able to tell if they were lying? I mean, you said those people seemed genuinely terrified.
You're right. The police reports do describe them as genuinely frightened. And this is where things get even more interesting. One of the most thorough investigations of the case was conducted by a UFO researcher named Isabel Davis.
Okay.
This was back in 1956, and she was particularly impressed by how consistent the witnesses' stories were, even when they were questioned separately.
So even when they weren't together to like influence each other's answers, they all stuck to the same story.
Pretty much, which makes it harder to dismiss the whole thing as just a simple fabrication.
Yeah, it's compelling.
And remember, this was before widespread media coverage of UFOs. So it's not like they had a bunch of pre-existing narratives to draw from. They were describing something truly unique and bizarre.
That's a good point.
Davis also thought Glennie Langford, the matriarch of the Sutton family, seemed like a particularly credible witness.
Okay.
She was described as a no-nonsense, practical woman, not the type to make stuff up.
So we've got consistent stories, credible witnesses, but still no physical evidence. It's a real head-scratcher.
It is. But the story doesn't end there. Years later, in 2006, a well-known skeptic named Joe Nickell decided to investigate the case.
Okay.
He actually came up with a pretty interesting theory involving a cat.
A cat. Seriously. I mean, I love cats, but I'm not sure I see them as the culprits in an alien invasion.
I know it sounds strange, but stick with me. Nickell proposed that someone might have thrown a cat against a screen door that night.
Okay.
And the witnesses, already on edge and expecting something strange, might have totally misinterpreted what they saw and heard.
That's creative. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But wouldn't they have recognized a cat?
Remember, it was dark, they were panicked, adrenaline was pumping. Plus, Nickell argued that the cat's eyes reflecting the moonlight could have given that illusion of glowing, and the sound of claws scratching on the screen door might have been mistaken for talons. It's a long shot, but it's not entirely implausible.
So we've got owls, meteors, a cat, and the possibility of a hoax. Or maybe it really was aliens. This is why I love these kinds of mysteries. There are so many possibilities.
It really keeps you guessing. So regardless of what actually happened that night, this whole thing obviously had a pretty big impact, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. This wasn't just some local legend. This became a national sensation.
It did. Newspapers all over the country even. The New York Times were covering it. It was the talk of the town everywhere.
Wow, so it really blew up.
It did. And the impact went way beyond just headlines. The Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter is actually credited with popularizing the phrase, little green men.
Wait, so even though these creatures weren't described as green, This event is what gave us that iconic image of the little green alien.
Exactly. It's fascinating how a single event can shape our collective imagination, even if the details get a little fuzzy over time.
That's wild.
And the influence of the Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter didn't stop there. Believe it or not, this event even caught the attention of Steven Spielberg himself.
Spielberg.
Yeah.
Like Steven Spielberg, the director. What's the connection?
Back in the late 70s, Spielberg was working on a sci-fi horror film called Night Skies that was directly inspired by the Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter. He was captivated by the story and wanted to explore the terror and wonder of a close encounter with the unknown.
Oh, man, what a bummer. I bet that would have been incredible.
I know, right? But here's the really cool part. Some of the ideas and themes that he developed for Night Skies actually ended up influencing some of his other iconic films like E.T. and Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Whoa, no way. So those classic alien movies we all know and love might never have been the same without this weird little incident in Kentucky.
It's true. It just goes to show how even the most seemingly insignificant events can have ripple effects that extend far beyond their immediate context. And the Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter is a perfect example of that.
So what do you think? After looking at all the evidence and the theories and the cultural impact, was it owls a hoax, a cat having a bad night, or is it something truly extraterrestrial?
Honestly, I think that's for each of us to decide. There's no definitive answer, no smoking gun. And that's what makes the Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter so endlessly fascinating.
I love that. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about embracing the mystery and letting our imaginations run wild. And hey, who knows, maybe someday a new piece of evidence will surface and change everything we thought we knew about this case. Wouldn't that be something?
That would be amazing. A new twist in the tale. But until then, I guess we'll just have to keep speculating, keep searching for answers, and keep looking up at the night sky, wondering what might be out there.
Well said. And hey, if you're ever in southwestern Kentucky in August, you might want to check out the Little Green Men Days Festival in Kelly. It sounds like a blast. A chance to celebrate the unknown and have a little fun with one of the strangest encounters in UFO history.
It's great to see a town embracing its connection to such a unique and mysterious event.
I agree. So after this deep dive into the Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter, what's the big takeaway for our listeners? What do you hope they walk away with?
I think the most important thing is to keep an open mind, not just about the possibility of aliens, but about everything. The world is full of mysteries, and there's so much we don't know and may never fully understand. And that's okay. Sometimes the most interesting questions are the ones without easy answers.
That's such a great point. The Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter is a reminder that the world is full of wonder and mystery, and that's something to be celebrated, not feared. It encourages us to keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep looking for answers, even if those answers remain elusive.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe someday concrete proof of extraterrestrial life will emerge, settling the debate once and for all. But until then, stories like this will continue to capture our imaginations and remind us that there's still so much out there to discover.
It's like that old saying, the truth is out there.
Exactly. And even if we never know for sure what happened in Kelly, the fact that we're still talking about it, debating it, and making movies about it almost 70 years later shows just how powerful these kinds of stories can be. They tap into something primal, don't they? Our fear of the unknown, our curiosity about what might be out there beyond our understanding.
Precisely. And the Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter plays on those fears and curiosities perfectly. It's a story that has everything: strange lights in the sky, mysterious creatures, terrified witnesses, and a complete lack of conclusive evidence. It's like a real-life campfire story passed down through generations, becoming more elaborate and fantastical with each retelling.
And that's part of the fun, isn't it? The mystery, the speculation, the chance to let our imaginations wander and fill in the blanks ourselves.
Absolutely. We're all drawn to the unexplained, the things that challenge our understanding of the world. And cases like this remind us that there are still corners of our reality that remain unexplored mysteries that might never be fully solved.
And who knows, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe some mysteries are best left unsolved, allowing us to explore the possibilities and embrace the wonder of the unknown.
That's a great point. There's a certain beauty in not knowing, in letting our minds wander and explore the possibilities. And who knows, maybe someday some new piece of evidence will emerge that changes everything we thought we knew about the Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter.
That would be amazing. A new twist in the tale.
Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Exploring this strange and fascinating world of the Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, be sure to follow or subscribe to our show for more explorations of the unexplained. And until next time, keep looking up at those stars and wondering.
And keep that sense of wonder alive.
Thanks for listening.